Hello, Captains, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, USS Endeavour. We are aboard the Tier 8 Jutland, the British destroyer tech tree line that costs a whopping $25 million just to get her. And is she worth it? Well, we're going to look at the ship. We're going to take a look at the stats. We're going to go through everything that I look at on a regular basis, and we'll make that determination at the end of all this. But right before we get into all that, just wanted to again say thank you to everybody for being patient with me. With a newborn, makes this process a little bit longer. And it didn't help that I got sick, so I don't sound all that great, and I'm coughing like crazy. So I'm going to do my best to try and make this a good video. So stick around, Captains. Hang on tight. We're going to take a look at the commander first before we get into the gameplay, which, following along the theme, we're going to have two of them. We still got Turwit at the helm, which is a full concealment build with the added effect of Smogathon, which gives us the extra smoke charges along with a special unique perk that extends our smoke duration. On to our mod selections, we have first slot aiming systems mod 1 with steering gears in the second, concealment mod in the third, and our last one is a little special. We got the purple epic main battery mod 3, which helps boost our overall reload every 30,000 damage. So that's just a little something extra. We'll see how well it works here. On to the consumables themselves. Like we said, the smoke generator, instead of 6, now we got 8 because of Smogathon perk, which allows our smoke dispersion time to be greater than our reload time, which with these short duration smokes, you can chain them together to have as long of a smoke as you need. We also have the sonar, which we have been used to up to this point, and it detects ships again at 3.5 kilometers, and that really doesn't change with the British destroyer line. But the new one that we have is the repair party. So you actually get a heal now that you're at tier 8. You also get the exact same heal at legendary. So on to the actual ship stats individual to the Jutland herself. Her survivability is at 18,400 hit points with this build. Could go higher if you use somebody like Sims or Hyde, which increases it a little bit. But 18,400 for our build. On to the artillery. You have the exact same amount of guns. However, the caliber has actually gone down to 113 millimeters. So it's a lower caliber. The exact same reload at 4 seconds, but the shell damage and for both AP and HE actually goes down, along with the fire chance being at 8% as opposed to 9% with the lightning. So the guns are actually a little bit worse, technically. On to the torpedoes. They have increased a little bit better. They're kind of back to the Jervis torpedoes, but with the added range of the lightning. So take both of the best characteristics of both the lightning and the Jervis and combine them, and you get these. The AA defense is actually gotten quite significantly better. It's actually gotten twice as good as the lightning has. However, at a 51 rating, they're still not all that fantastic. The maneuverability is still just a really good mainstay of the line. 35 knots, though, is decent. It's not the fastest one, but it's not the slowest either. Has a decent turning circle radius. 3.4 second rudder shift time is not bad. Concealment is at 5.1 kilometers, so that really hasn't changed much. You have pretty much the exact same concealment as you did in the Lightning. So, all things to be considered. This is kind of a weird ship in that there are some characteristics that are worse about it, some that are better. Overall, though, think of it like a Lightning with slightly better torpedoes and slightly less better guns. Onto the armor, though. It's pretty much the exact same as the Lightning. It has the 19 millimeters wrapped all around it, and it could resist HE shell damage from 102s. However, the best damage you could do against this thing is just shoot HE at it. Alright, Captains, here we are. Game number 1. We're on the map Sleeping Giant. It's a domination game mode, and I'm by myself. It's a tier 8 legendary lobby, and we have 3 destroyers on either side. They have an Elbing and 2 Shimikazes. we have a Shimakaze, myself, and the Jutland, and a Gearing. So here we go. We spawn right in between Bravo and Charlie, but basically middle. So I am actually going to go towards Bravo Cap for a couple of reasons. I like my utility. The Smogathon perk should help keep me concealed if I want to stay concealed just a little bit longer. And I just despise Charlie side because these chain of islands that separate Bravo and Charlie seem to almost separate an entire battle from one side to the rest of the map. It's such a weird map, not one that I'm particularly fond of, and depending on what you spawn in, as far as a ship type and where you spawn, can make or break this map for me. So it's just a personal thing. I'm not a big fan of this map, but I know how to play it relatively well. It just depends on what your team does. So here we go. We're going to push into Bravo, fully expecting that the only destroyers that again, in this map is kind of favorable. So the matchmaking kind of works. The Elbing can't really outspot me. The Shimakazes could, but I'm not particularly worried about them for the most part. Now, that Kronstadt shows up kind of on the edge, and he's kind of parked right there. I got to keep in mind, he does have a very long radar. He's got an 11.7 kilometer radar, which can spoil my plans. And I am now going to be within that radar. And there we spot torps, and we're able to dodge those relatively well. Those could have really ruined my game if that connected, but thankfully they missed. And I'm just going to nestle up against this island. I'm going to throw torps here because my bearing locator, it looked like something was going to be coming into the cap, but it started to jog left, making me think that a destroyer might skip Bravo and head straight into Alpha, which is a bold move, but one that if you catch someone with a torpedo can really ruin their day. So that's why I decided to move that way, as we lose our first destroyer on our team. So now it's just me and one other destroyer that has to hold this. And I'm really close to getting the cap, and I'm hoping that the radar doesn't come in to spoil my day, which it doesn't. And now it's time to leave. But as we decide to leave and we finally expose ourselves, there comes the radar. So now I'm lit up like a Christmas tree for the entire team. And wouldn't you know it, everybody is waiting for me. And they decide to chime in to let me know how much they appreciate me getting spotted. As you watch my health in the lower left-hand corner, it gets depleted rather quickly as the red team does the right thing and focuses me to potentially get me off the board. Thankfully, though, I was able to take Bravo Cap relatively uncontested. And if I have to trade over half of my health in order to make that play, not one that I would have asked for, but it's not the worst trade. At least I was able to get the cap, and if I'm looking back on it, I was very fortunate that the Kronstadt didn't radar me sooner, which I think he probably should have. But in either case, we do make it through at less than half our health, which is not ideal, especially at the very beginning of the game. It makes me have to play a little bit more passive, but I also know how to play even when I am really low on health. I've had a couple of games on this channel as that Schlieffen gets absolutely decimated by something on the left-hand side. So our team does a really good job of wiping him out and whittling him down to almost nothing. Took some shots because I was trying to get a fire set, but I'm shooting AP, so that's going to be a little bit difficult. I wasn't quite sure of how well the AP worked with the Jutland. Now, as we talked about earlier, the Jutland has lower caliber AP, which means that in theory, the AP should overpin less. So I wanted to try out, and you're going to see later on when I'm up against a destroyer, how well the AP actually works and versus the HE, which you'll see the differences between the AP and the HE from this game and the second game. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I just wasn't sure of how well it performed and which shell type is best used when going head-to-head against a destroyer. So keep that in mind, captains. But back to the game itself, we have that Kronstadt over here that burned his radar, and we also have the Elbing. Thankfully, our teammates were able to get into Alpha and cap that. So now we have complete cap control. We have 2 versus their none. So now I'm just kind of, the teams are really, really even. And here we're going to get to kind of showcase these single fire torpedoes. That Kronstadt relatively hasn't moved since the very beginning of the game. It doesn't look like he's going to start now. So we're going to go ahead and put him right on the line. But as you can see, this blue battleship that's kind of pushing around, I'm hoping he doesn't slow down. Otherwise, he's going to eat all of these torpedoes that I'm throwing in a straight line. So I was I knew he was there, and I knew that throwing these would potentially hit him. And unfortunately, I think 2 of the 10 that I throw out there do hit him. So, but still, 8 torpedoes get through. They're making their way towards the Kronstadt. And as long as he doesn't move, these are going to find their home for the most part. But need to start thinking about where these other destroyers are and try to start pushing into them as well. But for the most part, there's really not a whole lot in this particular situation that I have to really do other than just kind of keep my head on a swivel, because I have lost a lot of health at the beginning of the game. You do have heals, although I've already exhausted all of mine. And now that we're behind the island, we can take some kind of free shots at the Kronstadt. But he's getting overwhelmed. Our team pushed all the way around Alpha, and he's focused by 1 up front. He's stuck. He's not going to be able to do anything. And but those torpedoes that you saw that came in were from the Shimakaze, which is still on their side of the map. But my attention doesn't need to be over there. I want to start looking over towards Charlie. We are actually starting to flip it, but the vast majority of the ships that are left are going to be over on Charlie's side. So that's where I'm going to move in that direction. It's 5v4. Yep, I'm reading that right. It's 5v4 at this point. So can't get too crazy. My health is relatively low still, and anything can happen in this stretch of the game. This is where teams typically start to make mistakes, and here I'm just begging my torpedoes to come back because I have a perfect lineup against this Conqueror, but my torpedoes don't make it back in time. But looking back on it, I didn't really need to do that. Those torpedoes that are on him right now whittled him down pretty far. However, this Marco Polo that's pushing around the corner is a different story. Now that I have my torpedoes back, I'm going to go ahead and back on up, and I'm going to save these for him. So the Conqueror is getting focused by our team. He was able to just take out one of our destroyers, but here we throw an entire full salvo of torpedoes on this Marco Polo. He has no idea that these are coming. We smoke up just to make sure that he doesn't see us. Take a couple of pop shots at him. Still trying to see if the AP is a good pick. And as these start coming in, he is not going to be able to dodge any of these, and we take him out. So now it's just 2 destroyers left. I'm the lone destroyer, and we have a couple more blues on our team, but relatively safe. And as long as we don't make any massive mistakes, which could still happen, but as long as we don't make any massive mistakes as a team, I think we're going to win this game. Now, like I said earlier, I didn't know how the AP would really work against other destroyers. And so this next part, I know we have training rooms, and I could technically jump in one of those, but I prefer doing this in the moment And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm heading straight on my bearing locator, which is the Shimakaze that's out here. He'd already thrown torps on our battleship, so I'm trying to get out here to spot. Worst case scenario, I feel, is that even if I die against this Shimakaze, I definitely have the DPM to outbeat him. It's just a matter of, is this the right shell type in this particular situation? So we're going to test that theory and see how well it works. We're up by so many points that I feel like I can kind of make this play even if I screw up, just for, testing purposes. And I just want to know, because like I said, it has a lower caliber than the Lightning, and I want to know if the penetration is good enough for AP to make more sense than HE against destroyers. So now we have all 3 caps. I feel really, really safe and good about trying to do this now. So any moment now, we are about to spot him as we get spotted. And here we go. So keep an eye on the right-hand side of the screen where the shell characteristics are, where it tells you whether you're doing pins or over pins or bounces or anything like that. Now, the Shimakaze, to his credit, is absolutely wrecking my day with his HE shells, which are much, much better. They do hit like a truck, to be perfectly honest. But as you can see, I'm actually getting some pretty decent pins. I've actually gotten a lot of penetrations. It's just that the damage is just kind of lacking. I wasn't really able to get a lot of damage from them. It's not like if you were to play like the ZF6 that is an AP monster for a destroyer. And if you've ever used that with AP against other destroyers, you know just how potent that is. But the Shimakaze was able to take me out, and oddly enough, he took me out with his guns. Go figure, a Shimakaze who knows how to shoot his HE guns, which is actually kind of a breath of fresh air. So I don't mind losing that battle. Like I said, we are up quite a significant amount, and we're about to win on score alone. So here we see this Kurfürst who was going to take out this destroyer right here with this salvo, and this points are going to reach 1,000, and we are going to win the game. So that's kind of a look. I was really interested to see how the AP would work. I'm not quite impressed with it, not nearly as much as I thought I would be. A little disappointed in that fact. I don't know, maybe it was just the ship I was going up against. I don't know. But we did get top on the leaderboard, and so not bad. Not a bad outing in the Jutland for the first game. Let's take a look at the second game, because I think it's a really good game as well. And that one we're going to be using more HE against destroyers. All right, captains, welcome to the second game of this doubleheader in the Jutland. We are on the map Islands of Ice, and thankfully it's not an epicenter game mode. We have a full-fledged domination game mode. Again, I'm by myself, and this time we're not in a tier 8 legendary. We are top tier, and we are in a tier 7, tier 8 lobby. Now, it's at the point in the campaign where a lot of people are starting to pick up the Z44, which is the campaign ship for this update. And if most of you haven't figured it out by now, that ship is actually pretty anemic in the gun department. It's strange. It's a very focused on torpedoes and it's a German destroyer that does not have hydro. So it's such a strange ship at tier 8. A lot of people are really kind of crapping on it, and but there's a couple of them in this match, and 2 of them are on the red team. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that we're going to be taking a couple of these on, and we're going to see just how well we do against them. So again, right off the bat, we are going to make our way into Charlie, because that is the side that we spawned on, and that's just good team play. I will say this, I do have some really good support from the St. Louis and the Azuma that is right behind me, and I'm going to do everything in my power to give them spotting so that they can help me out. The Aegir pops up, which is a really good tier 8 German cruiser, battle cruiser really, that has a pretty decent ranged hydro. So here I smoke up for my teammates behind me. I wasn't sure if it would help or not, but I'm not going to stay in the smoke. It's not going to last very long anyway, and as they get closer to the cap, they're probably going to be within smoke fire penalty range anyway. But, you know, just wanted to help out, and also kind of lets my teammates know, hey, I'm here to give you support. I haven't shot my torpedoes yet because this Aegir has been kind of moving around a little bit, and I'm trying to wait to see exactly which line he's going to take before I start throwing these torpedoes out towards him. Plus, he's got other things to worry about, like the St. Louis and the Azuma out here. And this is an extremely aggressive play on his part, which is, I mean, I get it, he's a German ship, but the Aegir at this level of the game, I think this play is a bit of a mistake as we get a one torpedo hit, which is going to cause a permanent flood for right now. So as you can see, the damage is going to keep ticking up. But he's focusing on the St. Louis. He doesn't even know that I'm here. And he's so low on his health now that I decided to take one salvo and hope that I can take him out, which oddly enough I do. So kind of cheeky there. But, you know, I did take a lot of his health, so I don't look at it as a kill steal. But it is secured, and now we are able to take Charlie Cap as long as no other destroyers make their way in here, which I was fully expecting at this point to see one. There, my bearing locator flips pretty aggressively towards that island, which I don't know if he's on this side of the island or on the other side where Bravo is located, but I wanted to throw information out there for my teammates to let them know that the closest thing to me is over there somewhere. So we're going to make our way over to Bravo, and this is kind of where the action really starts to pick up, and I'm able to make a pretty interesting play on our friendly Z44. But I also got to be aware of the fact that this battleship over here is starting to make his way from Bravo over to Charlie, which could be a big deal against our cruisers. So I'm trying to keep him lit so that they can start whittling him down. If I get spotted and I'm relatively close, his secondaries could start opening up on me, and I don't want that to happen. I finally get my torpedoes back, so I'm trying to figure out how can I take this guy out. And in the moment, I was thinking of ambushing him, but there's still a lot of game left to play, and trading my destroyer for one battleship doesn't feel like it's a smart play at this point. I wasn't sure if he was going to push fully around the corner, and there that Z44 pops up. So we're going to start opening up on him. He immediately smokes up, which seems like a smart play at the time, but he doesn't have any hydro. I do. So I pop mine. Now I have to get relatively close. I have to be within 3.5 kilometers, but he's kind of stuck now because smoke screens work both ways. If he's staying in the middle of a smoke screen, I don't have to utilize mine, and he can't see me. I've got him permanently lit now. He can't go anywhere, and this is all free damage. And this is the power of a smoke hydro combo, and the lack of hydro that he has on that ship is what's going to make this, is why the Z44 just feels like such a weird ship at tier 8. It feels like it's way too high on the list for it to be considered that massive of a threat. So, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's, well, you can formulate your own opinion. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just giving you mine, whether you ask for it or not. So as we're pushing around this corner, this Massachusetts is right there. Now, I wasn't spotted. I was briefly. And if he was paying attention, then he knows that I was coming around that corner. But this is probably one of the luckiest Massachusetts. If he was paying attention, which I'm guessing he was, he actually hits the brakes, and he has to have acceleration mod on because he goes forward and dodges every single torpedo. And so that was not what I was expecting at all. I popped my smoke to try and disengage from him, but because I shot, the Sumner is able to take free hits at me, and I'm thankful that his aim is not nearly as good, and we eventually go unspotted. That move by him to open up on me exposed him to a lot of our ships out there, and now he's being focused by our teammates. So I'm going to try and get back into the smoke that I just utilized. So good on the Massachusetts for not sticking around and dodging all of those torpedoes. I even stuck one in front in case he decided to go forward, but that ship accelerated far faster than I was expecting. So now all I want to do at this point, I'm going to let him go for right now, and I'm going to just kind of stick in Bravo and try to get this cap flip, because they do have cap control even though we have an overwhelming lead with ships and points. I want to secure it and make sure that nothing funny can happen. So gonna stick right here. Here's a bit of a mistake that I make on my part. I have the Sumner lit just from proxy spotting. He can't see me. I'm still almost a full kilometer from actually from him spotting me, but for reasons that I don't understand, I decided to smoke up, which actually makes him go unspotted because I was the one that was spotting him directly. So I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept him lit and not shot. I think I just got a little greedy, and so that's on me. But he ends up pushing forward back into his own smoke, which is actually a mistake on his part. And there I make another mistake where I actually shot thinking that I was going to be able to get a free hit on him because he couldn't see. But the Massachusetts ends up spotting me. So, and here I wasn't quite sure what was spotting me because I had the smoke screen behind me for the Massachusetts, and the other one was in the smoke. But I realized it was the other Z-44 that spot me whenever I was shooting. However, him shooting at me ends up spelling disaster for him as I'm able to get back in my smoke. Kind of a weird play on my part. I didn't mean to do that, but it kind of worked in our favor. He ended up kind of lighting himself up like a Christmas tree, and the rest of our team just took care of him. So the Sumner is still where he's at. He's still popping shots from inside his smoke. So I'm going to try and get a couple of blind fire shots. And I do. I get a lucky hit. And I'm going to try and follow it up, and I get another one. So he ends up pushing back out, but he's in a really bad position, stuck between all of us. And we're going to go ahead and whittle him down and take him out. Well, I don't take him out, but our team takes him out. So now it's just down to 2 battleships left. So this is pretty much a win, and I felt we did really, really good. Took the Charlie cap to begin with. Now, it did get flipped back in their favor. We got Bravo cap, so we're going to head back over to Charlie because the last 2 remaining battleships are over there. It's a Massachusetts B from earlier, and it's the Iwami. But the Massachusetts B is really low, and he's about to get taken out any second. So there he goes. He goes down. So now it's a 1v6 in our favor. How many times has this happened to you? I felt bad for the Iwami. He's relatively full health too, so he's got no chance to pull this back. So this is going to be another win and a GG for the Blues. Now I'm going to kind of shift and talk about my thoughts on the Jutland herself. It's kind of a mixed bag for me. I'm not saying it's a bad ship, but compared to like the Lightning or even the Daring that we're about to feature next, it has weaker guns in my opinion than the Lightning. It has a lower caliber, the exact same reload. We've been using the exact same build the whole way through, so the stats that I'm kind of giving you are all kind of the same. I found that the guns are perform a little bit less than what I would like them to perform. And it's small. It's minute little details here and there. If there was one aspect about the Jutland that I feel is better, it's probably the torpedoes slightly, because you get the best of the Lightning as far as the range with 10 kilometers, and you get the amount from the Jervis from Tier 6 with 10 torpedoes. So I would say that's about the best quality for the Jutland. Guns are definitely a downgrade, as we are able to take out that Iwami with the torpedoes like we just talked about, and we pull our Confederate medal right in the last moments. So again, captains, it's okay. I would say it's not the best ship of the line, but it's okay as we pull over 3,000 base XP in a win. GG's to the Blues and the Reds, but I would say it's not the ship that I would. I don't know. I'll let you make that determination, as we get a GG from the number 2 player on our team, and decided to tell him you too as well. So thank you, captains, again for being patient with me as I am trying to get better. And as I'm actually recording this, I'm holding my baby in my arms, which is actually kind of cute. She's smiling and she's sleeping peacefully, and she's letting me record. So that's awfully nice of her. So y'all give her a thanks, and give her a like for me if you don't mind. So hang in there, captains. I'm going to get the Daring to you here soon. I love that ship, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best destroyers in the game. So hang on, captains. I'll be with you soon. So this is the USS Endeavor, signing off.